Hi, my name's Michael Neese. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at bowmo, and Eddie Eisman, who is the CEO of bowmo. We are putting together this video series to provide some information about how artificial intelligence is being used in the recruiting space, how it's being used positively, the things you have to watch out for. And Eddie, tell us a little bit, just give me a general introduction of your background for those who don't know you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Eddie Eisman, founder and CEO of bowmo. I spent about 20 years in the recruiting business, managing a high volume agency on Wall Street, primarily involved in IT recruiting and staffing for most of the financial services firms.
All right. Excellent. And for those who don't know me, my name's Michael Neese, and I've started several companies in the recruiting space, all trying to improve the hiring experience for actually for everyone involved. So the first topic that Eddie and I are going to cover in this short video is what is artificial intelligence in recruiting? So Eddie, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Thanks, Mike. AI in recruiting, I describe it as a machine, an engine that is designed and built specifically for talent acquisition and recruiting professionals that helps them become more efficient and helps them to craft and develop relationships a lot quicker, faster, and focus on the recruiting aspect.
Yeah. Well, now what people worry about, which recruiters, and when we say recruiters, we're talking about both agency recruiters, retained search recruiters, and corporate recruiters inside employers. The first thing people worry about whenever there's a new technology, one of the things is replacing the humans. Let's talk a little bit about the impact of using artificial intelligence on the workflow of a recruiter.
The machine helps the recruiter be more productive and be more efficient. It helps them focus on the high value ads in their day to day that they normally would get, I think, distracted or taken off course if they didn't have this machine at their disposal. So it helps them to develop these relationships. It helps them to engage with candidates in conversation a lot quicker, faster. Time spent searching and sourcing is kind of delegated to the machine and the engine that's working 24/7, 7 days a week.
Let's drill down a little bit. So from what I imagine is that AI is taking the repetitive tasks, for example, the repetitive tasks of sourcing candidates is something that AI would be good for. Is that correct?
That's right.
And I could also use it to do outreach to candidates.
Absolutely. There's many different machines now on the system, on the market now, different systems, applications that automate some of those repetitive tasks, email marketing. They craft great campaigns and sequences that send out those email blasts to candidates. There are machines that spider out to different sites that go out and grab candidates for you without having you to navigate to different sites, log in and log out, and create different booleans and search strings. The machine does that pretty well. Where the machine is lacking right now, where it doesn't do a great job, is engaging in conversation and providing that human touch. We're working on it, but not
Yeah.
yet.
The final topic that we're going to cover is a pretty sensitive one, and that's around discrimination, or whether you call it conscious or unconscious bias. Let's talk a few minutes about uh, AI's relationship in either reducing or creating more discrimination in the hiring process.
I take a pretty firm stance. I believe it reduces bias and discrimination in the hiring process. The machine is designed to review skills at a high volume, at a high pace. So it's completely going based off of skills and experience on the resume. It doesn't introduce race, gender, geographic location, zip code. All that data is sort of removed and anonymized, and the machine only sets its focus on the skills and experience required for the job.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the job description, it reviews that, and expands that to thousands of words, known and unknown to the recruiter. It does the same thing on the resume side, but it does it at scale. Millions and millions and millions of profiles it reviews in seconds almost. and provides a manageable list of folks to engage with in conversation to learn more. That's where the recruiting process really shines and takes over, right? Where a person gets on the phone and starts having that meaningful dialogue and conversation to learn more.
Yeah, so it sounds like AI is really good at doing all the pre-qualifications of candidates' background to the job requirements. It's best used. It's not particularly good at when you're trying to use AI to analyze facial recognition and try to draw conclusions by the frown somebody has on their face, for example. That seems to me like a misappropriation of artificial intelligence.
I agree. I think there's some work that needs to be done there, but our AI system at bowmo does not use facial recognition. It doesn't use and introduce other aspects of reviewing the resume other than purely basing the match based on skills. And it does it at scale, at volume, to give the recruiter a manageable list of folks that they should engage in conversation with that are in the ballpark.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned was the machine learn it. It has to be taught how it's going to analyze these skills. So one of the things that I've come to understand that artificial intelligence doesn't innately have its own discriminatory algorithm. Any discriminatory bias that's it being executed by an artificial intelligence engine, it has to be taught by a human to discriminate. Otherwise, it doesn't even know that that exists. Is that true?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you have to think of it this way: the machine is not unguarded. It doesn't have the ability to roam freely on its own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taught by driving millions of resumes through it and job descriptions, so it learns skills, industries, different schools, academic information. But then the machine doesn't make those phone calls for you. It doesn't reach out to the person on the behalf of someone.
Mm-hmm.
That someone is actually the recruiter who has to make the phone call and engage in conversation and learn more. So the machine has some limitations. It reduces bias, but as soon as a person picks up the phone and starts talking, bias will inherently be there because we're human. But it does do a good job of repetitive tasks, right? And reviewing
Mm-hmm.
those resumes and searching for them 24/7 and building those strings automatically for you, dynamically changing them. If the job description changes, it dynamically changes it for you and adds a variation of the skills and goes out and then refreshes the list of candidates to talk to.
Yeah, it sounds like if people appropriately use this new technology, that it can make life better. But if whenever there's a new technology, there's also an opportunity to misuse it, and that's one of the things people have to be concerned about. So
I think,
anyway,
I'm sorry, just to add a little
yeah.
bit more on that, I think it's also a little bit dual-sided, right? With this new technology, it's great for recruiting professionals, for talent acquisition folks, right, to unleash this power of AI and sourcing. But I also think it's an opportunity for candidates to kind of review their resume and get a little bit more familiar with what they're publishing and using to apply for all these different roles on the different job sites and job boards. So make sure your skills are up to date. Make sure your experience is up to date. Make sure, you start with the basic, your contact information is appropriate, right? So help the AI, help the machine find you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're applying for a specific role, add the skills that are required for that job. Some basic information helps and goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has been great. We've just about out of time. So for those who are listening, you can look forward to us tackling some other issues. I appreciate you taking time today, Eddie.
Absolutely, always. Thank you for having me, Michael.
All right, terrific. We'll talk soon.